Now let's take a look at the other extract group. Now we have worked with GGEC 02 G2, which is department extract group. Okay, so now let's start replicating the employee table. On node 1, this is the source database. There are no employees. On node 2, there are no employees. Okay, let's start creating some employees. We have department number 1. Okay, the employee is dependent on department table, department ID. So now let us say I am creating a record on the source. Now we have employee number 1, okay, which has department number 1. Department number 1 already exists in the database, no problems. Let's take a look at still the record has not been replicated. It might take few seconds. There could be a problem with extract or pump or whatever, the process might have failed. Let's take a look at each one of them in detail. Okay, GGEC01 run statistics on the extract to see if it captured the row. No, it did not capture. To view the parameter file from the GGSA command, this is how you do view params. To edit the parameter file, edit params the group name. To edit the parameter file, you can open the notepad, you can open the file directly and edit the file, or you can use edit params the group name, okay, which will open the same file. Every parameter file will have the same name as the group name, the process name, but you can have a different name in different folder altogether. Okay, if you have a different parameter file name in a different folder, then you need to specify the parameter file while adding the group. Okay, but we didn't specify by default. When you add extract, if you don't specify the param file option, that means it looks for the same parameter name file in the default folders, which is derpom folder. So let's take a look at to see why it is not replicating the source DB. There is no format. Employee 1. Okay, I guess we were playing with that file and we changed the, okay, now we got the problem. Let's go ahead and, okay, this is the problem. This checkbox is commented out, otherwise, okay, look. Info all, okay, it's running. Let's stop GGC01 G1. View the checkpoints, you have to say show ch. I guess the checkpoint is already moved beyond the employee record in the transaction log file. So I guess it might not capture it. EC01 G1. So what we have to do, let us stop it, alter the extract to some point. To 10, right? So here I would say to 8. Now let's start. Now we are moving back. Now we are moving back the checkpoint to read the transaction log file again from this time onwards. I guess we might have created the employee record after 2.8. Let's see. If we still don't capture it, then we have to still go back to 2.4 or 2.2, whatever it is. Okay, we started from 2.8, which we altered where we wanted to start, but it looks like we created the employee record before 2.8. Let's see the timestamp. I guess I might have created some timestamp on the source. No, there is no timestamp on the source. Okay, already. Let us stop it. Let's go back to the 2. Definitely now it should start working. Captured one on insert because we went back at 2 o'clock to read the transaction from there, because it looks like we created the record before 2.8. Okay, so let's take a look at to exactly know what time we created. We can take a look at the log dump to see the transaction header commit time. Okay, why not? Let's take a look at that information too. So this is G1, right? So G1 we started several times. Okay, every time we stop and start, it creates a new sequence. You can see G1 created several files. Okay, it didn't have data, so G3 has data. So this is the G1 is the first group, employee extract group. Okay, every time when we stop and start, it creates a new file. Now its sequence number is 3. We need to open this file in the log dump to see the transaction, the insert command in this file. Okay, so log dump obey ld. In the ld, the obey file, I have switched on several options, to view the header and detail, all those things. Otherwise I have to keep typing every command. So now I have to open the file, whichever trail file I wanted to view the records. Okay, it said current trail is this. Okay, next. Okay, this is where it is. Okay, the transaction happened at 2.6. This is the commit time. All right, now exit out of log dump. Now extract captured the insert, employee record insert. Now let us see if pump captured it. Okay, pump also captured it. Now let's take a look at the target table. Okay, we don't need to look into the replicate because replicate processed it. That's why we are able to see the employee record on the target. Okay, so now we are looking at the target server. Okay, so it replicated. Now let's do one more testing. This time I'm going to say department number 2. There is no department number 2. Okay. It will fail here in the source. Let's do this. Let's stop the GGPC02 G2. PC02 it's the pump for the department table. Let's stop it. Let's create a department number 2. The source department. See, we are giving the just department name, but the department number is identity column. Okay, we don't need to give that. I created for most of the tables identity column so that I don't need to enter the value for that. Otherwise, if I have to explicitly say, then I have to enter the value. For identity columns, it's automatically going to take care of. It's like a sequence in Oracle. So now if I take a look at the department, I just created the finance, which is number 2. So now I can successfully create employee number 2, which points to department number 2. Okay, this refers to department number 2. Okay. Now I stopped capturing, I'm capturing the department table, but I'm not sending the department to the target. Okay, I still have the record in my extract trail file, but that has not been sent to the target. So the second department row will not be replicated to the target until I start that. Okay, if I start GGPC02, it will send that. Okay, let's take a look at the so it captured the second insert. Okay, you remember we inserted accounting, updated accounting 1, accounting to accounting 1, and we inserted finance. Okay, total 3 operations. So it captured. The record is there, the insert is there in the extract trail file, source extract trail file. So now we stopped it. So let's now what is the employee on the target 1 in the source. Okay, source we created employee number 3. Okay, don't know why. Okay. Since it failed, it took the number 2 and did not release that number. Third time it was successful, the insert of employee record successful. That's why the record number is 3. Okay, 2 is missing here. Okay, so now this record employee number 3 won't be replicated here. Why? Because in the target database, when the replicate replicates, applies the transaction, applies the insert to the target database, it fails with the same constraint. I guess I might have created the foreign key on the target employee table as well. Oh yeah, I created. So this will stop. So the replicate might be in abandoned status now. Let's take a look at okay, we looked at stats GG EC01 G1, 2 inserts because 2 employees. It sent 2 employee records, and in running status both have successfully captured and sent it. Now I am on the source server node 2. So let us say info all. GGRC01 is abandoned status. Now this extract is abandoned. The lag is 12. HHMMSS 12 seconds. The lag is 12 seconds. Okay. Time since checkpoint is 3 minutes. 3 minutes before it updated the checkpoint. The checkpoint did not happen for last 3 minutes. Sometimes this might be zero, all zeros here, but the time checkpoint will be several hours. That happened once for me. That replicate was running, but it didn't do anything. Don't know why. It just got stuck somewhere, but the checkpoint did not happen. So based on the checkpoint, I thought something problem with the replicate. It's still in running status, but not really doing anything. So you need to look for these two values. This is really lag. Maybe you can consider from the abandoned status. Okay, before it abandoned, it took 12 seconds. There was 12-second delay before it abandoned. Okay, so it has that value, 12 seconds. That's it. Now, if you see, the checkpoint is still not being updated. That means I would say it had problem for last 4 minutes. Okay. So it's an abandoned status. What is the group name? Employee group, employee replicate, RC01G1. So first thing is you need to take a look at RPT folder. So this is the one. Okay, report file. I have given the discard file. There is something called discard file. Okay, so if replicate cannot process a record for some reason, you have option to discard that record. You have option to ignore that record. Okay. If you discard that record, you need to specify discard file in the replicate parameter file. Okay, I'll show you all those details later, but I just want to explain you what is a discard file. You may be wondering. So okay, discard file. Here I have specified in the replicate parameter file the discard file specification and the discard details. So that's why the employee replicate, whatever the records it had problem, it discarded in the discard file. So you don't need to look into the report file. File might be saying the same information. It says error mapping employee to employee. Excellent. What information we can get from this? Okay, so it says this particular insert statement is failed. Okay. So discard statement has the details. You can very well take a look at discard file. So discard file says discarded record from an action abend 2627 is record not found. The insert statement conflicted with foreign key. Okay, this foreign key constraint has some problems. Conflict occurred for the department table. At the end, if you see, mapping problem with the insert record. Employee number 3, this particular record it could not insert because of the foreign key violation. That's the point. Process is abandoned at so and so time. Okay, so you need to look into the issue here. Now, okay, so what do you want to do? Now you need to replicate the department table first before you proceed with this employee record, or you might think, okay, that's fine. Let's replicate the employee table. I don't care about department. I know it will be always out of sync. You have to make some decisions. What you want to do? You want this record to be replicated, or you wanted to bring the department table record first, and after that, just replicate this. Okay. If you bring the department record, then this will work fine. Just you need to restart it because it's going to replay the same record. Okay. So I will. How did we simulate? Because we captured the department, because we cannot insert a inconsistent data in the source. That's why I inserted department number 2, and after that I inserted employee number which refers to department number 2. But I stopped the pump. That's where the record got stuck there. So now I'm going to start the pump, department pump. If I start the department pump, which is ggpc0 to g2, okay, this extract. This is a department pump. This pump processes the department records. So it said, okay, since I started, I have one record to process. So I sent a new department to the target site. That's what it says here. Okay, so now the department is gone to the target, and now target should have the department number 2. because it process that record, replicate inserted that department number 2. Now if I start this replicate, it should insert the employee number 3, which refers to the department number 2, which is already there in the target database. So stats, from the time it starts, it will show the statistics from the time it starts. So it inserted one row. So now if you take a look at so now you have the department number and proper employee record for the department number. So this is how generally you fix some of the issues. Okay. But in some cases you have to insert the employee record without the department number. You might think that that's fine, just go ahead and insert. If you think that even though there might be some data inconsistencies, you wanted to insert the employee record without the proper department numbers, you can remove the foreign keys on the target. Okay. Because there might be sometimes department extracts might be running slow, employee might be running faster. Employee replicates might be running faster and department replicates might be running slowly. In that case, you will first get the employee records on the target first. Okay. So that will get abandoned until the corresponding department gets inserted. So you know that your source has consistent data, good data. So your GoldenGate is going to definitely replicate all the data in various speed, either first department or next employee. In that case, you might want to disable the foreign keys or the triggers or check constraint. Those are really may not be required. You might have to think about it. Otherwise you have to keep worrying about, okay, which record comes first in the target, how I have to deal with it, like that. So I would say disable the even identity columns. See, identity columns, whenever GoldenGate replicates the transaction on target table, will set the identity insert on before it insert the record. Okay, it inserts the record. It sets the identity insert on, inserts the record, and set the identity insert on, identity insert off, and reset that identity. It does several things to keep the identity, identity to reflect that it has the last value. Okay, so even you can disable the identities. It's additional processing for the replicate to handle with. So I would say disable, if it is really not concerned. But if this is hot standby or warm standby server, you wanted to have GoldenGate replication for disaster recovery purposes, then you don't have that option. You don't have the option of disabling. You wanted to keep the exactly same structure as source on the target database. Okay, in that case you have a lot of challenges. You have to be proper, you have to do good job. So you have to configure GoldenGate well, you have to maintain, monitor, troubleshoot. You should be top on GoldenGate. If the target database is if you are using purely for disaster recovery purposes, or target database is for reporting purposes, and the reporting guys are okay with 1 or 2 hours of delay, then you can play with it. You can disable several things. You can play with it. So you can be a little bit negligent there. That's fine. Now we looked at it, a couple of examples. Now how the GoldenGate works. It just replicates the data from source to target. Typically, in this scenario, what we looked at, okay, we have 2 extracts. One extract is for employee, one extract is for department. Correspondingly, we created 2 pumps. Okay, respectively, we created 2 replicates. Okay. But generally, related tables, parent table and child tables, okay, those are related tables using the foreign key constraint. Related tables generally should be in one group. Okay, extract should contain all the related groups, related tables, and pump should contain all those related tables, and the replication should contain all the related tables. So you should not separate them. Okay, if you separate them, this is the problem you get. Employee might go first before the department, or problem like that can happen. So GoldenGate suggests to keep the related tables in one group. And if you have related tables in one group, then you have several options. There are several advantages. You can have ranges. Okay, you can create a range. Okay, you can have create a range on data pump or replicate to segregate the data that are coming from the source. Like for example, if you're getting millions of records on the source, you want to replicate to process a million records parallelly instead of serially. Okay, if it process parallelly, it can insert many records parallelly faster. There will be no lag in the replicate. It makes sense to use range if transactions are huge. Okay, transaction flow is high. Okay, but the requirement is to have the related tables together. Okay, if you separate it, then range might not be a good option. If related tables are together in one group, you need to think about what if two tables are very big or huge tables. For example, in this scenario, department table and employee table both are getting 5,000 records or 3,000 records per second. Heavy hitting tables. Can you keep two heavy hitting tables, or let us say you have some 10 tables related to each other, and you keep all 10 tables in one extract? Okay, just because GoldenGate suggests to keep all 10 tables in one extract, but you keep all 10 tables, and 10 tables, every table is getting 1,000 or 2,000 records per second. So your extract is going to be run slowly in that case. You need to think about that. So sometimes GoldenGate might suggest, okay, separate the tables from the extract. So there are several pros and cons you need to evaluate. This is just I wanted to show you that department and employees should be typically in one extract instead of two extract. What happens if they are in different groups and one goes before other, and in that case how you deal with it. And also the primary purpose of GoldenGate you have seen, it just replicates the data from source to target. Now what you have seen is change data capture, transactional replication. It replicates the incoming transactions. What about the transactions or data that exists in the source database before we set up the GoldenGate, before we set up the transaction change data capture replication? What we have set up, what we have done so far is change data capture. But there might be some millions of rows or several gigabytes of data in the database. So you need to sync the data first before you set up the change replication. Now, for that you have three options. I told you in the beginning of the videos, you have the option to do a backup and restore, and after that set up the change replication or initial load or export and import. I will explain all those scenarios, but you have to decide based on your situation condition what you need to proceed with. First, let's take a look at the first use case scenario, backup and restore. For the first use case, what I will do, I will take backup of source database and restore it on target. And after that, I will set up the change replication for the source database. Now here there are a couple of things that you may have to think about it before working with any of the option. Okay, every option has a few things to consider how you have to deal with it. For example, the application is using your source database. Okay, you are getting live transactions all the time. You cannot stop the application. You don't have the time. You don't have the flexibility. You have to set up the replication for the existing database using GoldenGate. Okay, and you need to sync the target database with the source database. Okay, you cannot have a maintenance window. Okay, for example, credit card applications of any financial application, mostly they will be up and running 24/7. So you have to work with live databases. Okay, where transactions are keep coming. So in that case, what I will do, First I will, if I am following the backup and restore methodology, okay, backup method, okay, what I can do, there are two ways. The first method, I will add tran data. Yeah, I think I already told you about the tran data, where tran data is nothing but adding the supplemental information. I add tran data to all the tables that needs to be replicated. This is the first thing I do, and after that I take full backup and restore on target. After that I set up the change replication, which is what we have done. I set up the change replication. Change replication starting from where backup ends. In the SQL Server transaction log, or even in the Oracle redo logs, in the SQL Server transaction log, okay, every record, every log record, okay, will have a LSN, log sequence number. For example, transaction might be having 100 statements, okay, select statement, update statement, insert statement. There could be several statements. You can say operations. GoldenGate says operations. So there could be several operations inside a transaction. So a transaction can contain a number of statements or a number of operations. Okay, so, but every operation or every statement will have a unique LSN. Every record should have unique LSN. When backup ends, when you take full backup, so it will give you the information what is the last LSN the backup contains. You need to note down that LSN. And when you start the change replication, when you set up the GoldenGate replication, you need to say start the replication from the last LSN of the backup. That means once the backup completes, then you apply the changes after the last LSN. Then you will not have problems. Okay. But if you capture, that is method 1. I'm going to show you how I'm going to take backup, how I'm going to note down or capture the last LSN of the backup, and after that how I'm going to start the replication, change replication from the last LSN. I'm going to do that. So then I will not have any problem. I will not be losing any transactions because I have enabled the tran data before I take the backup. That way, GoldenGate can traverse, can go through anywhere in the log file as long as you have add tran data enabled. That is the reason why add tran data should be the first thing you should do in the database first before you do anything. Take a full backup. Just take a full backup before anything, and after that enable the tran data. Okay, and after that again take one more full backup. So if you don't enable tran data, then you don't have enough information in the log file. Log will not be logging. Then if you ask GoldenGate to go back to certain point where you don't have the tran data, then it's going to fail. It's not going to perform. The method 1 I'm going to do this way, from where backup ends. Okay. Method 2, in the same backup restore technique, I would say. I don't know spelling. This may be correct. Technique. Okay, I'm not good at spelling. Okay, backup and restore technique. Okay, the method 1 is this. Method 2 is first I will add tran data, assuming that there will be a full backup before that adding tran data, and after that start extracts. So now if you add tran data and start extract, it will start capturing the transactions. Now after some time, after few minutes, let us say, take full backup. When you take full backup, see that extract started. Okay, let's complete this method, all the steps, and after that I'll explain. So here first I'll add tran data, start extract, few minutes, take full backup. Restore on target, start pump or pumps, whatever, start replicate with handle collision. This is very important. So the reason why you need to specify handle collision. So what is the problem with this methodology, or which one is preferred? It depends on your choice. But here, if you see, you started capturing the data before you take full backup, and you take full backup and apply it on the target. And when you apply, you started capturing records before you take the full backup. There could be records when you apply the replication, the change replication. There could be records in the full backup already that has been restored on target. So it will collide, because the employee number is already, you captured employee number 1, you restored employee number 1 already. Okay, when you try to insert employee number 1, the replicate fails. So it will collide. That is what is called as collision in GoldenGate terminology. So you need to handle the collision. Okay, there will be several collisions. Okay, for example, insert the record which when you start extract here, and when you apply the trail file here, the record will be already there. Insert will fail. When you say delete, the record might not be there. When you say update, the record might not be there on target. You will get duplicate keys and no record keys. Okay, so you need to handle how you wanted to avoid this collision. So GoldenGate has some built-in intelligence for this parameter, handle collision parameter. When you say this, then GoldenGate is going to identify how to resolve the collisions. So GoldenGate has given some details about what they're going to do in case of duplicate records. If it is duplicate record, they are going to just ignore it. If it is no data, no record found, then they might insert or they might ignore, depends on other options. So basically I would say they will avoid it. They will just ignore the errors, because they know that data is overlapping there on the target. So because of the overlapping, there might be some problems until it comes to sync. After some time, it catch up. Okay, after some time, the target database will be in sync with the source. Then after that, you have to remove the handle collision. Okay, you can use send extract and no handle collision, or you can stop it and remove the handle collision parameter parameter from the parameter file, and start the basically you have to remove the handle collision once after the data is synced up. So there will be a lot of circus here for the GoldenGate until it syncs up. You're smart and you can follow this method one, you're good. There is no point of handle collision here, because you are starting the transaction replication, that is change replication, immediately after the backup ends. You know what you are doing here. This is perfect, and this is near perfect. This is good for SQL Server. What I'm explaining is can be done or with the SQL Server. If you are doing with Oracle, then probably you have to think about the same logic how you can achieve with Oracle database. So first let's proceed with backup and restore technique, and let us implement the method 1. So I'm assuming my database is highly transactional, and transactions keep coming. In that case, I have to, in those scenario, I have to work with the GoldenGate to set up the replication. First, let's create some load in the source database. While simulating the transactions coming into the source database, I'll set up the method 1.